So, in this part 2 of the lecture, I am going to continue. So the site development process, let's focus on site development process. First, we do planning. We organize the information to be put on the web page. Then we start doing the site by design and development. After we develop the site, then there will be a marketing and business phase that should be taught, and resources must be spent. Otherwise, you will have a very good website, but nobody is going to use it. Nobody is going to know what you have done. Even if you are doing a site like the university website, you need to advertise. You need to advertise the things that you have done in the website so that people in your organization can use it. Also, website is not a static thing lately. Even if it is static, even if it is highly static, it needs still maintenance and updates. Therefore, tracking, evaluation, and maintenance takes time and effort. You need to plan for it too. An unupdated, obsolete website, not by design, by the content, obsolete website is very bad reputation for your company. Therefore, sticking with the general frameworks, not specific pieces of software, is good because on the long run, support for the specific plugins and specific software might be dropped. So if you are highly connected to that kind of specific software and specific frameworks, if the support is stopped over the time, you will be left stranded. Therefore, it's a good practice to use generally acceptable frameworks and software development utilities so that in the long run, your web page can be updated and maintained without any problems. So it starts with planning and ends to the release. And this is the final editing phase. Research on similar sites, audience research, content strategy, business goals, and use case scenarios. So these are done first, and over the development phase, you end up with the web page, the actual web page. And iterations, when we focus on iterations, in the early phases, there will be more iterations. As you approach to the end of the project, number of iterations and size of the iterations should be smaller, like my head here. So how do we plan then? We have to write down the goals. Writing is quite important. We have to write down the goals and objectives for the website by collecting and analyzing the information and defining the scope of the content, depth and breadth of the information, and how to meet the user expectations. So those things must be written down because in the web design, possibilities are endless. The upper limit is very high. You cannot do everything in the web design and web applications. So you have to limit yourself with the user's expectations to finish the project. If uh, if the development company is not able to develop the graphical content and site design, then you need to contact with the site design media company and make a good relations, make a good contact and program with the design company rather than giving it to the design company altogether. Ideally, the designers should be involved starting as soon as possible and the planning discussions at the beginning. Otherwise, they will develop the site by themselves without asking you guys. First question is, are we going to develop ourselves? Are we going to use contractors, media company, graphics design companies, or are we going to give it completely to external company? Who will manage the process? Who are the primary content experts? Who will be the responsible for and contact person for the outside? Will it function as a long-term? Will he function as a long-term owner of the website or editor or only for the project? What operating systems will be supported? What is the network bandwidth? What is the client capability? Do we have dynamic content like Java or other third-party things? How users are going to connect to the support? Do we have a database? What kind of database? Do we have video content? Do we need additional video servers separately? Do we have additional graphics servers? Are we going to have too many requests? So do we need load balancers, etc.? There will be disk space limitations, site traffic limitations, capacity calculations, maintenance, 24 hours, service, log analysis, search engine optimization and suitability, programming, middleware operations, and database support. These are the initial considerations. Keeping this in mind, you need to compute how much it's going to cost, how much you are going to pay for the development, for the server, and the content. Content also is important. Sometimes we pay for the content because content creation is not an easy task, and that is not easy for the developers. It is more difficult for developers to create contents. Then development team may require additional hardware or software. Cost of that is important. You may need to buy a purchase framework for graphics, framework or template for the web page. So those are the costs. There will be some staff training costs like marketing and design. Also, if there is an outsourcing, there will be costs associated with this outsourcing as well. This is the figure from the book. I like this very much. In the top, we see a house from the Germany. The first image shows this is one. First image shows the top view of the house from 1906. By 1908, an edition is put here. By 1912, another edition. And as we go to 1935, it's even improved. Therefore, it never stops growing. The web page is also a dynamic structure. It always grows. So when you are designing a web page or website or web application, always keep in mind that in very near future, you will be asked to add additional menus, additional content, additional things. So you need to plan for future as you are developing. You need to plan for future, so connectivity for the future menus and growing space for growth must be planned from the beginning. Otherwise, if it is not suitable for growth, then people have to scrap it and redo it, which is more costly. And also, it's more difficult for users because users like to come back to the same place that they are used to. So if you keep changing the web page frequently, if you keep changing the whole thing frequently, then it is not a good practice. Also, specific to web pages, there will be links coming out from the several places, from Wikipedia, from other places. So if you keep changing the structure of the web page, those links coming from outside will be broken. So external links are very crucial for getting people in and also having people to find what they want. Therefore, as you grow, try to keep the original as much as possible. So make it long living and extendable. If that's the case, your effort will be low, your costs will be low, and your users will be happier. So then, what is good? Most websites are associated with measurable goals, such as how many visitors. If it's a commercial website, how many visitors? If it is a website like a school website, it is measured by asking questions to the members to reduce support emails, improve client relations. So there are target performance metrics. Many of these measures rely on pre-existing data to enable before and after comparisons. So before it was like this, and after it is like this, so it is improved. Before we start making the web page and application, determine how do we measure the success. We give extreme importance to your graduation project success metrics. So if you define success metrics before starting the project, then you have something in your mind. But if you don't have any success metric, you can customize it and bend it on the way so that nothing will come out at the end. Whatever comes out will be considered as good, which is not considered as a success. So before we design the site, we need to understand what is the success and how the success is measured. If we don't do it, as I said, over the time, there's something like scope creep. Something becomes a little bit difficult. You don't do that. You do something else because you like it. You see somewhere. So gradual changes, small changes, small changes, small features, added and added so that more functionality and more features are expected by the customer, and your original idea is lost. In that case, project is not finished, budget is increased. Sometimes you go to court because the payment is not increased. Customer asks many things from you, which is not originally planned. And what you do at the end is quite different from what you plan at the beginning. So this is what we call scope creep, and it must be prevented. How do we prevent it? How do we prevent it? By project charter. Project charter is the planning team's statement of the core goals and values, and why do we do it? How do we do it? What are we going to do it? And you print it in one page and put it on the wall in the project office, so that everybody is agreed on project charter. We are going to do this, nothing else. Okay? Because web is quite flexible. Everybody asks something. If you try to fulfill everybody's request, then it never finishes. Therefore, put the charter at the top, finish the project, deliver it. This is important. And the time we spend, planning phase, planning, development, and delivery part is here, are the phases, and the effort during those phases, it goes up and down, depending on what function is being implemented. So in the Gantt chart, for example, this part is straight box. However, the effort is changing throughout the box. Usually, it peaks at some point and gradually decreases it. This is what happens in reality. Using the first traditional waterfall project management approach, has requirements done at the beginning, design done after that, implementation and integration and quality control. So here you check the quality. And if the quality is not good, what do you do? Nothing. So therefore, quality measurements are usually comes out good, because there is nothing to do at that point. To prevent that, we have the iterative waterfall, iterative development sequence. So requirements are little bit connected with the design, little bit connected with the, so they are overlapping. Overlapping is good. These overlaps and iterations allow us to reach better results. Okay, that's what we call hybrid waterfall, and today it is the most looked after model for project management. Complete agile process is not well suited for many projects because scope creep, in that case, scope creep is possible, and budget overruns and time overruns are possible with that kind of approach. But with the hybrid waterfall, you can control what's going on in more precise details and the planning has some effect in the general project progress. So we should organize the information. We should organize what we have, what we already have, what do we need. We establish the hierarchical outline of the content to create the vocabulary. So site structure and navigation elements can be laid out. In order to do that, we divide our content into different units, logical units, with a modular structure. So that will be put under different sections in the web page, and that will go under the menus. So that is how we organize information for the web page. Draw diagrams if necessary, and ask to the real users of the organization whether it is correct or not. It's basically, content inventory is basically the detailed listing of the information about all content that exists in a site to be redesigned or designed from the scratch. Well, although the content inventory is often tedious and time-consuming to create, it helps a lot. So you can do it in the Word, Microsoft Word, or any kind of word processor or similar document. Page title, content, what to put, what are the links. So these are essential. There is a book by Sol Worman about organization of the information. So if you can get the PDF copy, please let me know so that we can maybe give it to someone who needs it. He talks about organizing information, and he talked about 5 racks of the information. 1, category, like categorization of the information, like whether the item is the book or the magazine or food or automotive. So that's what categorization means, product categorization. Second is the time axis organization. This year, last year, past year, etc. Location-based categorization or organization, alphabetic organization, or continuous organization like length, weight, etc. So this is how we organize information, he says. Also, he talks about site organization. Sites are usually done for a certain purpose. Some of them are identity sites like furniture companies, navigation sites like Wikipedia or search engines, novelty sites or news, organizational sites like the school or an association, etc. İstanbul Ticaret Odası, etc. Service sites, it's around the service content or product categories. There are some flashy sites and tool-oriented sites. So since it's from the book, it says Ajax or Web 2.0. Now it is 3.0, 4.0. But some sites are tool-oriented sites, so they give emphasis on tools rather than the content. And they are usually short-lived. In order to organize, we again do card sorting. We put the ideas on the board and we organize them. And by changing the locations of these papers, we can organize and place the menus, and we can organize the structure of the website. As we read from the screen, it is reading speed is slow, so web information is usually prepared for skimming, fast reading. Therefore, subheadings, titles, and a lot of spaces must be used. Sometimes links do contain relevant information on them, so giving links is fine. Dividing a big text into multiple smaller parts helps to assimilate better. However, random chunking is not suggested. So just dividing the content into different paragraphs is not helpful. It has to be meaningful chunks. So content must be rewritten and shortened a little bit. Again, 25%. Since we read 25% slower on the screen, based on the research by the Schneiderman. It's an early research, but I think it's still valid. Therefore, you have to make it shorter, at least by 25%, to have the same reading time. And also in the web, reading time is shorter because attention can be shifted to many other things in a short amount of time. When you are holding a book in your hand, attention shifting is not easy because you are holding the book. In order to shift, you need to put the book down, and it takes time. So attention shifting threshold is much higher with the book. You don't easily get away from the book. If it is newspaper, it is slightly easier because there are different news. So if you don't like the column that you are reading, you can skip to another news on the web, in the newspaper, in the physical newspaper. But on the web page, attention shifting, because you have a computer in front, attention shifting is quite easy, therefore reading time is lower. Structure of the site can be different in many forms. Usually, it's mixture of the links. There are structures, but generally, users try to imagine the site structure like a map. So if the site structure is memorizable and understandable, the users will be more successful. Therefore, they try to make a predictable mental model of the site. If the site is more understandable as a map, then users will be more successful and they like it. Some structure of the sites are tree structures. So information and content sites are like that. Some sites are deep sites. So not many items at the beginning, but subsequences. So it depends what you are doing. Sometimes you need the things that are on the left. Sometimes you need the things that are on the right. It's also depending on whether you are designing the website for the mobile or the desktop. For the desktop, you have more ability to squeeze more items on the entry page, the upper levels. But when you have smaller screens, deeper menus are more preferred. Lately, search as navigation is being used. We have the entry page, fine, but some of the users are landing through the Google. And when they want to come again, they use Google again. Unfortunately, people go to newspapers by typing the newspaper name in the Google. Nobody is using navigation anymore. I wouldn't say nobody, but less people are using navigation, direct navigation. So there are significant people who are using search as a function of navigation. For example, my son is using Windows search function in order to navigate to the control panel. He doesn't go to start menu and click the control panel icon. Rather, he just types what he wants to do, like printer setup in the search of the Windows. I think it's Windows 10 or 11. Then clicks the item that pops up. So he uses the search as a way of navigation. Therefore, when we look at the landing profile of a website, browsing and navigation is on the left. There are significant people who are coming by the direct landing, direct typing, but some people are coming with the search engines, Although number for each page is low, but there are many pages that are hit by the search engines. So the total number of visitors are actually the area under this curve, not the height of this curve. Height of the curve is not much, but the area is quite comparable with the direct access. Therefore, our site must be search engine friendly, and we should remember people are coming from external links, so the links must stay for years. You always keep the old links intact. Even if you update the web page, you need to find a way to rewrite the old links with a script so that old links must still function. Some sites are linear sites, such as the training sites, when you are doing training and e-learning, etc., or shopping or registering for some prize. Enter the information, fill the form, and then blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, and finish. So this is what, with some deviations, but generally a linear site. Some sites are hierarchical. So these are hierarchical, centered around a central page, usually associated as home. These are information sites. Some others are like this. Links, mostly, because pure hierarchy is not good. Hierarchical sites organize the content and pages in a tree, looks fine, but accessing becomes tedious. You have to go back to home every time in order to move to another part of the site. Therefore, people use the mixture of that, like this. It's a regular hierarchical site, but your menus should allow jumping in between if the context is proper. So this is clear structure, clear information structure, showing the hierarchical organization, but users can move around by jumping from one structure, one substructure to another substructure. And this is a successful example. How they are related. Linear structures are good for simple basic content training sites. So it's more for less educated users. For educated users, links are more preferred. In the middle, hierarchical site structure, best breed of everything, neither more educated nor less educated, average education and average flexibility gives us the hierarchical site. Okay. In order to design a site, diagramming technique can be used. There are many languages and tools to make site diagrams. There are symbols for that. Web design facilities uses their own diagramming symbols, but generally links are associated with the arrows. There are small boxes and logical decision boxes and action boxes and the file symbols. This is for the decision. This is for the connection. This is for ending and begin. So typical flowchart like associations are done with the documents like this. So when a diagram is drawn, these are typical examples. Because in the early phase, details are not necessary. Details are later. So you need to design with organization of the information, not with the visual design. If you start doing visual design, original design and information organization will be left. Another example. So then you need to move to wireframe design. This is one example from the balsamic. You can also make moving prototypes. So clickable prototype can be implemented. This wireframe design is sketchy. This is the sketchy mode, and this is the regular mode. Regular mode is less looked after because when you go like this, people start thinking about maybe we can make this part larger. So this discussion is not good. That discussion should come later. Originally, we should think what to put here. So having sketchy mode is better for initial design, and this part can come later. Generally, in the design, we need to consider the logo, identity of the titles, page title, breadcrumb, navigation, search form, links to other links to the mother organization if there is any, global navigation links at the top, usually local navigation, primary page content, connection information, mailing address and email information, telephone numbers, copyright statements and contact information, etc. So they all should exist. How? There is a 1-3 rule in visual communication design. If you divide the content into 3 like this, you either fill this part or fill this part or fill this part separate. So here, for example, upper 3, upper 6 is occupied by the image and lower 3 is occupied by the content. It could be left, right as well. So 1-3 rule is quite interesting in terms of visual design. If you are interested in this, you can type the 1-3 rule in visual design and read more. when this is rule of thirds, again 1 3, you can focus on middle and corners, and this is one balance, this is the second balance, and this is what Gutenberg's Z pattern is, and there is the reading gravity principle here. So as we read from the top and go down. This is how we look at the pages in Latin speaking, left to right alphabet using countries, going from top to bottom. That's how we observe the content. And the page content is actually organized using these principles. There is there is an experiment done with the eye trackers. So when we do experiment with eye trackers, usually people are starting from the top left and move to the bottom. This is what we say Gutenberg F. Gutenberg is printing left to right. So therefore, this yellow triangle is an important area. Some people call it as golden triangle, and that area is quite important in navigation. When you have a good navigational cues, you need to present those cues in those areas, not somewhere else. And they did this study with users, human interface study in laboratory experiments. And usually, certain locations are more preferred by users when they are asked to find a content, such as the home link is usually set to the left top. Search is usually either is on the left or the top right. Banner ads are on the right. Navigation links are usually on the top left or sometimes to the right. External links are on the right. Shopping cart is on the top right. About link is usually on the corners or middle at the bottom. These are general locations, and the information, this information is extracted by the experiment, user experiments, by eye tracker. Generally, focusing on the interface design, we use interaction metaphors, images, and concepts, trying to convey the function and meaning on the computer screen. It includes detailed visual characteristics of every component of the graphic interface and functional sequence of interactions over time. Therefore, they produce characteristic look and feel of the web pages. So a web page looks like a web page. A web application looks like a web application, and it's not a bad thing. Underlining a link is not a bad thing because people like it, people know it. So wayfinding is wayfinding is a difficult task. One principle is, in order to not to get lost, you need to orient yourself, meaning that you need to know where you are, where I am right now. That question must be answered all the time. Route decisions, can I find the way to where I want to go? Or mental mapping, are my experiences consistent and understandable enough so that I've been added to predict where I should go next? If my mental map is correct, then I can navigate. And oops, ekran gitti. Niye gitti? Second screen is crashed. Okay. Okay. Okay. So can I recognize that I have arrived? For example, you want to buy something, you want to register for some government issues, and do you know that that is the correct place? You want to turn on your electricity, you want to turn on your electricity, and can you recognize that you have arrived to the correct website? That's what we say closure. So there is a book, again, Image of the City by Kevin Lynch. He says, most people's mental maps were populated by five types of elements: path, edge, district, node, landmark. Paths, familiar streets, walkways, bus lines, etc. So you remember paths. Edges, like walls, fences, rivers, like seashore. That is the barrier. Districts, such as Chinatown, Wall Street, Karaköy, Laleli, etc. So district can be understood, can be recognized. So when you are in the district, you recognize where you are. Nodes, like major intersection meeting places, like Taksim Square or Bostancı Kavşağı. Okay, those are the nodes. So when you are when you are orienting yourself, you look for Bostancı Kavşağı and you memorize the target location based on that node. Or landmarks like clock towers, some other towers, some traffic lights, some gas stations, so visible structures to orient yourself. So everything is about orientation and finding and remembering the navigation. So same things are significantly valid for the web. For example, the path. We remember the ways that we visited previously on the web. This is what we do through the breadcrumbs. Here is what breadcrumb is. Okay, here is what here is what breadcrumb is. So we remember the path. Keep the path so that people can learn the path. Districts and edges, such as if every place is looking the same, like askeri lojman, like military barracks, you cannot find your destination. So when you are going through the corporate side, if you move from one region to another region, from marketing to human resources, yes, there should be some similarity, but there should also be some differences so that you know where you are. You remember when you come second time, such as this. Different regions, and there are landmarks. Colors are different, so there are some differences, but also similarities. So these similarities keep the user with the same feeling that they are in the same website, but some differences so that they will remember the region. So if there is only one type of meal, it's easy to handle. But if you are trying to find the best kebab, and we can end up with a soup because choosing is not easy. So giving user choices is a constant problem in user interface design. Too many choices delivered simultaneously leave most users unable to do anything. extensive choices are only good for power users. For beginner users, for first-time users, extensive choices are not actually looked for. Such as this. If it is a lot of complex elements in the scene like this, you don't know where to go because there are too many things. It is called as Times Square effect. Too many competing visual stimuli. So if you put too many things together, people don't know what to look at. In the landmark, for orientation and for keeping people informed about where you are here information must be given. So this is given like with colorization of the correct existing place so that people know also label changes. So these things indicate that you are there. If you don't put that share, this is especially important, orientation information. If you don't put orientation information, they have to remember what they did. They have to remember what they did, and they have to estimate where they are, which is not good. This is what orientation, department name and site selection title line. So this has to be, and page title. This has to be present along with the breadcrumbs. That's for orientation. So as you move through the web page, you jump from one location to another location and another location and another location. So this is the usual behavior of a user. When using the search engine, you directly go to the last page. You don't go from the beginning. Therefore, if you have something to show here, like an announcement, people miss it. So therefore, trying to give a cookie, trying to put a cookie here and evaluating the cookie at the last page can determine whether you are coming from the search engine or whether you are coming from the top page. You can differentiate it and you can customize it. You can customize it. You can customize the web page based on whether you are coming from the search engine or from the top and create two different experiences. Put the search box in the correct position, either to here or here. So these are two familiar locations for people to put search engines. Searching scope must be understood. Are we searching site? Are we searching page? Are we searching all internet? So search is good, but cannot replace the whole site. Therefore, some help is fine and welcomed to explain what are we searching. We have a search facility in our school website, in your university website, but I don't think many people can use it very well because we don't advertise it much. Some people use it for navigation as well. In the web, we have a lot of information available, so the visible material are too much, but screens are small. Therefore, visual cues are important so that they can scroll down, up, or they can change pages. Large document space is only visible from the window, so scrolling cues and paging cues must be given clearly by arrows, etc. So, for example, here, For example, when you have a web page, multiple items, and at the end, there is an arrow for the next page. Put that arrow to the top as well, because people may not realize that they have multiple pages as a result of the search. So when you have multiple pages, like 4 pages, second page, going to second page should be possible from the top and the bottom together, not only from the top or from a very tiny space. And and clear navigation aids. So clear, consistent icons, graphic identity schemes, headings and graphics, or text-based overview and summary screens, therefore, can give users confidence that they can find what they are looking for without wasting time. So if you think that you are wasting time in the web page, it's very bad experience. So you don't like it. So try to give additional cues, graphic identities, titles, headings, so that people feel that they are in the correct place. They are not wasting time. Also, don't waste their time by showing them animations, unnecessary informations, advertisements, etc. Value them, value their time. Identity present in the interface and in the web page should be consistent, and there should be footer, header, so that people will understand that they are in the same location. Sometimes there are dead-end pages. If you end up with this page, there should always be a home or back facility so that they are not trapped. Most users expect 5 to 8 items in the menus that are related to 7 rule for the short-term memory. Therefore, they want it in sections rather than back-to-back hierarchy. So designing site hierarchy so that the real content is just a click or 2 clicks away from the main page with 5 to 8 items in each menu. Therefore, deep navigation must be avoided as much as possible. Try to make it large enough, breadth first, so that 2 clicks, maybe 3 clicks, should be sufficient to reach the correct destination. Try to make consistent web pages. Best information designs are never noticed. If you notice a design, then it is not good. Aynen aslında saç modeli gibi. If your hairstyle, if somebody's hairstyle is saying, I'm here, then it is not good. Good designs are never noticed. Okay. Once you know where the standard links are on the page, header graphics, the interface becomes almost invisible. So some people make it flashy, but it will be invisible. Content and navigation should not compete. Navigation is easy and never competes with the actual content or the attention. Okay. This is one example. It's kind of consistent. And when you develop over the time, There is some change. This is the next version. There is some change, but still company consistency is present through logo and the way and the main colors and the way you approach is the same. So time consistency, over the time consistency, and also the elements consistency must be looked after. All components should function properly, and this is important. Spelling errors must be avoided. They reduce the quality perception. So your design should be stable, consistent, no errors, etc. All non-functioning parts must be grayed out, must be disabled. Everything must function or disabled. Frustration threshold time is 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, you give up. So it is crucial to consider network speed of the user. Dynamic content reloading, rotating disks, rotating animations, preloading. These are very harmful. Try to show it as soon as possible because it feels fast. Even if you are going to show very good graphics, but if you wait a little bit, it creates a worse experience than showing a good graphics. Therefore, try to reduce loading of animations, high graphics, etc. Like I am trying to check the price of the car from the car dealer website, but they are showing me the film of the new model. I don't want to watch the model. I'm just trying to find the price or availability. Therefore, make the analysis of the customers. What customer wants from the car dealer website. Check the price, make the reservation, check whether the model trim exists in the stock, check the accessories, book for the service, and maybe learn more about the technical issues. Not watch the new commercial shown on the TV. So this is important to differentiate between the needs of the company and needs of the customer. General conventions are present. These conventions are slowly changing over time, but generally they are pretty stable over the years. This is what we have now. Obviously, flexible fluid design is today's standard, but locations are usually similar. Interface design should not compete with the content. This is important. Nobody is going to use our site because it is nice. They are going to use our site because it is functional. Okay, so niceness should come later than the functionality. Header area is important. People expect navigation behavior from the header area. From the top area, you expect some navigation behavior. Something must be there. So tab metaphor, this is tab. Having tabs can be used 5-7 times at most. Again, short-term memory principle. Above that number, drop down or other ways must be used. This is the second way of doing it with the white pull-down menus. When you go over this, white pull-down menu is shown. If you move to the right, another menu is shown. So this is one strategy, but you need to carefully design it with the mouse functioning, because you clicked on the industries and want to move here, your mouse will follow this path. And as you follow this path, you will be briefly on another button. Since you are passing through this region, the system may show the menu under the services incorrectly and creates a bad experience. Therefore, after opening this kind of menu and when the mouse is clicked, stop picking location information for the other top menu items, because the mouse is down. If the mouse is down, that means this menu is open. So with the mouse down, moving left and right shouldn't change the submenu in these cases, because it will create bad experience when people are trying to reach to these regions diagonally. Okay, after clicking the header, when you want to go here diagonally, you will end up hitting the second menu next to you. So should navigation be on the left or right? In terms of performance, there is no difference, but try to be consistent. Due to book metaphor, because we have the books bind from the left, cilt soldadır ya. Left menus are more common. People expect menus being on the left because we are coming from the written text society with the books. Right sections are conceived as related links or ads. If we are placing navigation on the right, make sure that it doesn't look like advertisement. This is important. Try to make breadcrumbs look different than the content. Here, the content looks like a breadcrumb. Okay, so that is the content, but it looks like a breadcrumb. We don't like it. A breadcrumb should be like this. This is correct. Content should be different throughout the company, but also should look similar. That is what we say coherence. Although designs are different, contents are different, same design language should be chosen. In order to focus on these more, pick up a book called Visual Communication and try to read visual communication book once, and then you will end up being much more capable in designing a coherent websites and coherent content. CSS technology helps us, other frameworks as well, helps us to fix stable designs. So we thank technology to that, for that. And when doing the CSS, regions are named so that when you are trying to fill the content, it becomes quite easy to put something in the area when you are generating the page dynamically. So it's not difficult if you are writing the script to generate the page. And as we design, first we focus on where to put what. So this is shown on the right side. So this is the article, this is the article in the video, article, etc. So once you finish this, and then you move to the left. Famous word of, was it Alan Kay is, he says, the best way to predict future is to invent it. So if you want to know what will happen in future, don't look anywhere. Just invent it. You do it yourself. Therefore, when you are trying to design a web page, evaluating other web pages are okay, fine, but you need to do it yourself also so that it will be unique and new and successful. Generally, people like to skim and scan the content. Rough visual scanning checks this part and some part like this at once, just by looking at more detailed, look a little bit more, and this is actual reading. Start reading. So initial elements are bold elements like this. When you have bold elements, those are recognized in the earlier stages. Otherwise, they don't read it. I think uh, I think we can stop here for this week. Let me stop recording.